Good morning. Happy Thursday. I was just Googling there were two words in yesterday's reading were really bothering me because I said them wrong. And one of them, I said doublet. It's double, the one that's a pocket. When we were talking about Nearly Headless Nick and he put the letter into his double. And then it's, I think I said sinew. I can't remember now, but it's sinew. He said, 1/2 an inch of skin and sinew holding my neck on, Harry. I think I said sinew. I can't remember. These are the things that when I'm reading, they're just over my head. I just go with it. And then sometimes I realize, I'm like, did I say something? Did I say a word wrong? So it was bothering me. I wanted to clarify. And also to let you know that that's a totally fine practice to go back and Google something later, and they have a pronunciation feature with their definition that lets you hear how the word sounds. So I actually highly recommend that if you're doing working on your writing and you're wanting to use new words and phrases. Okay, anyways, let's see. We were talking to Nearly Headless Nick, and he said, "So, what's bothering you? Anything I can do?" "No," said Harry, "not unless you know where we can get 7 free Nimbus 2001s for our match against The rest of Harry's sentence was drowned out by a high-pitched mewing from somewhere near his ankles. He looked down and found himself gazing into a pair of lamp-like yellow eyes. It was Mrs. Norris, the skeletal gray cat who was used by the caretaker, Argus Filch. Always do that. As sort of a deputy in his endless battle against students. "You'd better get out of here, Harry," said Nick quickly. "Filch isn't in a good mood. He's got the flu, and some third years accidentally plastered frog brains all over the ceiling in Dungeon 5. He's been cleaning all morning, and if he sees you dripping mud all over the place..." Very curious how you accidentally get frog brains on something. I'm sure there's plenty of creative writing you could do about that, actually. Maybe write a story today about how frog brains accidentally got all over the ceiling in Dungeon 5, if you want some creative writing time. "Right," said Harry, backing away from the accusing stare of Mrs. Norris, but not quickly enough. Drawn to the spot by the mysterious power that seemed to connect him with his foul cat, Argus Filch burst suddenly through a tapestry to Harry's right, wheezing and looking wildly about for the rule breaker. There was a thick tartan scarf bound around his head, and his nose was unusually purple. "Filth!" he shouted, his jowls a-quiver, his eyes popping alarmingly as he pointed at the muddy puddle that had dripped from Harry's Quidditch robes. "Mess and muck everywhere! I've had enough of it, I tell you! Follow me, Potter!" So Harry waved a gloomy goodbye to Nearly Headless Nick and followed Filch back downstairs, doubling the number of muddy footprints on the floor. Harry had never been inside Filch's office before. It was a place that most students avoided. The room was dingy and windowless, lit by a single oil lamp dangling from the low ceiling. A faint smell of fried fish lingered about the place. Wooden filing cabinets stood around the walls. From their labels, Harry could see that they contained details of every pupil that Filch had ever punished. Fred and George Weasley had an entire drawer just to themselves. A highly polished collection of chains and manacles hung on the wall behind Filch's desk. It was common knowledge that he was always begging Dumbledore to let him suspend students by their ankles from the ceiling. Filch grabbed a quill from a pot on his desk and began shuffling around looking for parchment. "Dung," he muttered furiously. "Great sizzling dragon boogies! Frog brains! Rat intestines! I've had enough of it! Make an example! Where's the form? Yes!" He retrieved a large roll of parchment from his desk drawer and stretched it out in front of him, dipping his long black quill in the ink pot. "Name? Harry Potter. Crime? It was only a bit of mud, said Harry. It's only a bit of mud to you, boy, but to me it's an extra hour of scrubbing, shouted Filch, a drip shivering unpleasantly at the end of his bulbous nose. Crime! Befouling the castle! Suggested sentence? Dabbling at his streaming nose, Filch squinted unpleasantly at Harry, who waited with a bated breath for his next sentence to fall. Oh, no pictures on this one. There's a little bit of a page detail. I don't know if you can tell, actually. It just looks kind of gray and splotchy. But as Filch lowered his quill, there was a great bang on the ceiling of the office, which made the oil lamp rattle. Peeves! Filch roared, flinging down his quill in a transport of rage. I'll have you this time! I'll have you! And without backwards glance at Harry, Filch ran flat-footed from the office, Mrs. Norris streaking alongside him. Peeves was the school poltergeist, a grinning, airborne menace who lived to cause havoc and distress. Harry didn't much like Peeves, but couldn't help but feeling grateful for his timing. Hopefully, whatever Peeves had done, and it sounded as though he'd wrecked something very big this time, he would distract Filch from Harry. Thinking that he should probably wait for Filch to come back, Harry sank into a moth-eaten chair next to the desk. There was only one thing apart from his half-completed form. There was only one thing on it apart from his half-completed form. A large, glossy, purple envelope with silver lettering on the front. With a quick glance at the door to check that Filch wasn't on his way back, Harry picked up the envelope and read, Quickspell, spelt Kwik. A correspondence course in beginner's magic. Intrigued, Harry flicked the envelope open and pulled out the sheaf of parchment inside. More curly silver writing on the front page said, right here. Feel out of step in the world of modern magic? Find yourself making excuses not to perform simple spells? Ever been taunted for your woeful wand work? There is an answer. Quickspell is an all-new, fail-safe, quick-result, easy-learn course. Hundreds of witches and wizards have benefited from the Quickspell method. Madame Z. Nettles of Topsham writes, I had no memory for incantations and my potions were a family joke. Now after Quickspell course, I'm the center of attention at parties and friends beg for the recipe of my Scintillation solution. Oh, scintillation. Warlock D. Prod Didsbury says, My wife and I used to sneer at my feeble charms, but 1 month into your fabulous Quickspell course, I succeeded in turning her into a yak. Thank you, Quickspell. Fascinated. Harry thumbed through the rest of the envelope's contents. Why on earth did Filch want a Quickspell course? Did this mean he wasn't a proper wizard? Harry was just reading, Lesson 1, Holding Your Wand, Some Useful Tips, when shuffling footsteps outside told him that Filch was coming back. Stuffing the parchment back into the envelope, Harry threw it back onto the desk just as the door opened. Filch was looking triumphant. That vanishing cabinet was extremely valuable, he was saying. This is gleeful. That vanishing cabinet was extremely valuable, he was saying gleefully to Mrs. Norris. We'll have Peeves out this time, my sweet. His eyes fell on Harry and then darted to the Quickspell envelope, which, Harry realized too late, was lying 2 feet from where it had started. Filch's pasty face went brick red. Harry braced himself for a tidal wave of fury. Filch hobbled across his desk, snatched up the envelope, and threw it into the drawer. Did you read? He spluttered. No, Harry lied quickly. Filch's knobby hands were twisting together. If I thought you read my private, not that it's mine, it's for a friend, but that as it may, however. Harry was staring at him, alarmed. Filch had never looked madder. His eyes were popping. A tick was going on one of his pouchy cheeks, and the tartan scarf didn't help. Very well. Go, and don't breathe a word. Not that... However, if you didn't read, go on now. I have to write up Peeves' report. Go! Amazed at his luck, Harry sped out of the office, up the corridor, and back upstairs. To escape from Filch's office without punishment was probably some kind of school record. I think we have to stop there. We're at the 10-minute mark. All right. Have a lovely Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.